Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Friday, January the 6th, 2023. Happy New Year and welcome to 2023. I'm glad to have you all. This is episode 39, and welcome to Real Estate, Real Life, Real Talk, and Real Live with Damon, the agent. And as you'll always know, I always like to start my show with real estate information, and then I get into other topics and subjects, and sometimes I even have a business spotlight. So today, what I'm going to be talking about in the wonderful world of real estate is bankruptcy, buying a house with a bankruptcy and when you owe taxes. And the reason why I'm talking about taxes is because we are in the tax season and many people are getting their W-2s and many people will be filing for their taxes. And unfortunately, there are some people who actually owe taxes. So many people have certain questions when it pertains to buying a house when they owe taxes. And they also have questions when it pertains to buying a house when they have a bankruptcy. So I am here to elaborate on a few things to hopefully clear things up. So for those of you all who are looking to purchase, you'll have a clear understanding what your options are because there's no limitation to buying. It's just knowing what you can and cannot do. So when it pertains to bankruptcies, let's begin. Chapter 7. Now, many people who do file bankruptcy tend to file Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Chapter 7 is when it's a liquidation bankruptcy. Businesses and individuals can both file for a Chapter 7. This process is normally typical of reorganization of much of the assets that an individual or business have. What that means is basically everything that a person owes and everything when it pertains to is put into it's all the assets are gathered, and when all the assets are gathered, it's liquidated. And the liquidation is when the bankruptcy attorney will say, okay, if you owe all this money, then we're going to put it here to liquidate it. And then when they liquidate it and everything, they write off everything. It tends to affect many people's credit, but keep this in mind. No matter which bankruptcy that you file, you still can purchase a home. And I'm going to get to that after I go over the next bankruptcy. Chapter 11. Now, many people don't talk about Chapter 11 because Chapter 11 normally pertains to businesses. So the reason why, like if you don't own a business, most people don't even talk about that. Like if you go to a bankruptcy attorney, they're going to talk about Chapter 7 or Chapter 13, depending on what your options are. But even with a Chapter 11, again, this involves a reorganization of the business affairs, their debts, their assets. This is all the things that a business owe, and this is what the bankruptcy does. It's just a reorganization of everything, what they owe, what they own, and then the bankruptcy attorney would then liquidate those things as well too. So that is a Chapter 11. A Chapter 13. Now, many people do this, especially people who work and who get a W-2. This is the most popular one for a lot of people who do work and get a W-2. A lot of bankruptcy attorneys will basically try to get people to do this. This is like a consolidation of everything that is owed. For example, let's say hypothetically you owe $50,000 with your credit cards, with your card notes, with any past creditors or anything like that. What will happen is with the Chapter 13, it's a consolidation loan basically, and it's like when you get all your bills together and it's like a reset button has been started. So let's say today's January the 6th and you do a Chapter 13 on the 10th. What happened is everything that you owe up until January the 10th will be reset. So instead of you paying your credit card here, your card note here, and this payment here, you will pay one payment to the bankruptcy attorney because they will consolidate everything and they will liquidate it to the point where you make one payment. Now, let me translate that over into when you're trying to buy a home. Now, people have come to me and said, I filed for bankruptcy. How can I buy a home? I've been told that I cannot buy a home. Well, here's where they're wrong. Depending on which bankruptcy that you actually use will determine how long it would take before you can buy a home from when the bankruptcy has been discharged. That's a key thing when it pertains to bankruptcy. Let's say you file for Chapter 13 or Chapter 7. because those are the two most popular ones, unless you own a business and then you're considering Chapter 11. But if you file for Chapter 7, for an example, you can purchase a home 4 years from when it's been discharged. Now, I say that, and I want people to clearly understand what that basically means. It means the discharge basically means from you have the agreement with the bankruptcy attorney, you agree to everything, and then they release it. So that's what the discharge is. Once the bankruptcy attorney releases it, and once they release it, then you're able to within 4 years, purchase a home. Now, make no misunderstanding that those bankruptcies will sit on your credit longer than 4 years. But just because they're on your credit does not mean you cannot purchase a home. For example, when you speak with a loan officer in purchasing a home, many loan officers are going to run your credit. If the bankruptcy comes up on your credit, the first thing they're going to ask you, has the bankruptcy been discharged? Do you have discharge papers? If you say yeah, then they're going to look at the date that's on the credit, because always was the date that's on the credit. They're going to look at that date, and then within 4 years. So like now it's 2023. Let's say you did a bankruptcy in 2018. And right now we're in 2023, and the discharge has been in 2019. And it's January the 6th, and it was on January the 3rd. You have 4 years. So you're cleared to purchase a home. Now that discharge is the bankruptcy is going to sit on your credit report. Now it sits on your credit report for roughly 7 years. Let me get the clarity on that, on which one is which. Okay. Yeah. Chapter 13 bankruptcy would stick around on your credit report for 7 years. A Chapter 7 will remain on your credit report for 10 years. So keep in mind, just because it's on your credit report does not mean you cannot purchase a home. You just have to have a clear understanding of the discharge. Once you have the discharge papers and it has been discharged 4 years, then you can purchase a home, whether you get a Chapter 7 or Chapter 13. Chapter 11 normally pertains to businesses. So I just want people to have a clear understanding when it pertains to the bankruptcies. Now, let's talk about taxes. Now, we're in tax season right now, where many people are going to be filing taxes. A lot of times people get their income, their tax returns, and they use that as their down payment or closing costs when it pertains to buying a house. Now, there have been some people who have asked the question, what if I owe taxes? Can I still buy a house? And the answer to that is yes, if, I make this clear, if you have a payment plan in place. If you have a payment plan in place with the local, state, or even with the federal government, lenders will most likely approve you for the loan. They have to see the payment plan. You have to understand that one of the reasons that taxes are always asked when you're purchasing a home, most lenders want to see your last 2 tax returns. They want to see this, and this is because Uncle Sam wants to make sure they get their money before you get a house. So if you have a payment plan in place, you can still purchase a home. But it has to be current. Your payment plan has to be current. It has to be in place, and all those documentations must be presented and sent over to the lender for them to verify that, because they have to submit everything to which is called the underwriting team, and the underwriting team has to clear everything. And these are certain guidelines that have been sent over to them from the government. So again, you can purchase a home if you owe taxes. You just have to have a payment plan in place, and you have to be current on your payment plan. So I hope that is a clear understanding to let you all know that whether you have a bankruptcy or whether or not you owe taxes, that you still can purchase a home. Like I said at the beginning of this, there are many ways to purchase a home. It's just having a clear cut and understanding. If you're ready, willing, and able, I'm the type of person that's able, willing, and ready to show you what it is that you need to do in order to purchase the home that you want. So I hope I made that clear understanding when it pertains to the bankruptcy or when it pertains to owing taxes. Hold on for 1 second. I shall be right back. Okay, thank you all for joining me. So, I was going to have a guest on today, but unfortunately, they couldn't make it at the last minute. So, I'm going to go into my next subject, which is reality. Hold on one second, which is social media versus reality. I just want to touch briefly on that because I was holding a conversation with a good friend of mine recently, and we were just talking about a lot of things. And one of the things was brought up was the false illusion what's on the internet. Now, reality versus perception. Reality versus perception is the implication is that because each of us perceives the world through our own eyes, reality itself changes from person to person. While it's true that everyone perceives reality differently, reality could care less about our own perceptions. And what that is, though, is meaning when we all look at a place such as Instagram, we see so many people on there, and it seems like they're living their best life. Everybody posts the best thing, what's going on in them. A lot of times you would think everyone is doing so well, and then everyone, like some individuals are struggling and having a hard time. I just wanted to say this: please do not believe the hype. Please do not get caught up what you see online, because sometimes people tend to compare their lives to what they see online, and then sometimes people become depressed because they're wishing and hoping that that was them, not knowing that a lot of things that are online are really false and fake. Like a lot of people, for example, even in pictures, they use a lot of filters. They don't look like anything that you see online. Even with the whole body thing, people are using filters when it pertains to just showing their bodies. People are making it seem like they got all this money, they're traveling all the time, they have the best of the best and stuff. And I'm not saying that people are supposed to show when they're doing bad. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is, though, is people can get so caught up in other people's lives that you forget to have a life yourself. What you have to understand is you've been put on this earth to live your best life. But yet, a lot of times people are not living their best life because they're comparing their life to other people's lives. You should never compare yourself to anyone else when it pertains to anything. You should only compare yourself to you and becoming the best person that you can possibly be. Because if you compare yourself to others, sometimes it will cause you possibly to become depressed. It will cause you to sometimes say, Dad, I'm not doing enough. And then at the same time, it will sometimes make some people even jealous and envy because they're wishing and hoping that was them. That's why a lot of times you see, like, when people are celebrities and all these groupies and stuff flock to them because they want that lifestyle. They want something that they think that they have to offer. When you have to create your own reality in whatever it is that you choose to do. So also, there's a lot of people who are out here who, when you look online, you see them and you think that they're doing well, but reality is a lot of them. And when I say a lot of them are not doing well. That's just an image that you see. A lot of them are broke. A lot of them are struggling. A lot of them, trying to figure out things. But of course, they want to make it seem like they got the best of the best and they are the best of the best. But reality is, we all struggle at some point in time. We all go through things at some point in time. But if you look at social media, it's a whole different world out there. A whole different world out there. It's a lot of miserable people on social media too. You have to keep that in mind. That's why people, if you go on one of those posts and you say anything that's against the norm, you'll have a whole bunch of people jumping on you, and they don't even know you. They're jumping on you because they don't have a life. They don't have any time. All they have is time. And sometimes, you shouldn't entertain those people and don't even read the comments, because it'll drain you. It'll pull you into this rabbit hole on social media where a lot of people are at. You can't make a lot of progress a lot of times when it pertains to things, because social media, to be honest with you, is an addiction. There are all types of addiction out here. There alcohol addiction, is drug addiction, sex addiction, gambling addiction, um, and social media addiction. If you don't pay attention, you'll go down this rabbit hole and you go in there and you'll start strolling. And next thing you know, it's 3 hours later and you wonder what happened. And next thing you know, all day has gone, or all night, and you haven't gotten anything done. So please be mindful when you're on social media, because Your reality is when you're in that rabbit hole looking at and strolling on social media for hours, your reality is you wasted hours looking at other people's lives. What are you doing with your life? That's the question that should be a lot and quite often amongst a lot of us, but it's easy to get caught up. Get caught up. So I wanted to share that because, like I said, I see reality versus social media. It's a lot of stuff that goes on social media, a lot of stuff, but people are not paying attention. Please try to pay attention to what's going on because time goes on and waits for no man, and time is passing people by, whether or not they realize it or not. Put the phone down because there's a whole world outside of social media. Put the phone down and take a look, and you will basically see that your reality is going to be what you create. And the thing is, though, is like I said, what you think you see on social media is not always what's really going on. And I say that from knowing I see people's pages on social media and I know how they live behind the other side. And it is nothing like you see on social media. And there's so many people who are like that. They post this, they post that, you know, take a picture of me doing this or whatever. And I didn't even who they are or how they live. So focus on your reality because your reality is what really matters. Social media, it has its plus and its minuses. But at the same time, depends on what it's used for. It can either do you good or it can do you bad. And unfortunately, it's doing a lot of people bad out here. And another good thing is it's doing a lot of people good too. So make the most of it while you can. So I just wanted to elaborate on that too because I see people getting caught up in the hype. They get caught up in the hype, and I really want people to focus more so in 2023 their reality, their life, not what they see online. Because whatever's going on wherever you at, that's your reality. You can go on social media right now and whatever you see, is what you see. But again, you'll pick the phone up, and next thing you know, it's 5 hours later. What did you do in that 5 hours? Did you accomplish anything positive for you? Because unless you're getting paid to stroll on social media, is really draining you, you know. So I really want to elaborate on that to get people to fully understand and to think about what they're doing with their time because time is steady moving. It's steady moving, steady moving. But what are you doing? Are you being productive? Are you making the most of your time or are you wasting time looking at everybody's life? While you looking at everybody else's life, what's going on with your life? Think about it. So I wanted to elaborate on that as well. So let me come back with a recap. Okay, again, we're going to recap what I went over now. I went over bankruptcy and owing taxes. Again, there's a chapter 7, a chapter 11, and a chapter 13. The chapter 13 is basically a lot of times for wage earners. It's a simplified version of consolidating all of what they owe, throwing in the banks in the bankruptcy, and resetting everything as far as starting over to help people get a fresh start. So the 13 is very convenient and it's very good for a lot of people to use if you're considering it. If you feel like you can't play catch up with your bills and you need to start over, but just understand when you do that chapter 13, you're going to have to give up all your credit cards or whatever. So they're not going to allow you to keep your credit cards during a bankruptcy. Chapter 11, like I mentioned, is for mainly businesses to, you know, liquidate all of their assets and everything that they owe all together. So if you're a business owner, it would be a good resource to look into, and then also with the chapter 7, like I said, it's when you, with all of your earnings, with all your debt and everything, they put it all together, they liquidate that as well. And then when it pertains to buying a home, you can buy a home 4 years from discharge. So normally your bankruptcy attorney would tell you when the discharge would occur. And then 4 years from discharge, you can actually purchase a home, but the bankruptcy will sit on your credit for 7 to 10 years. If it's a chapter 13, it will sit on your credit for 7 years. If it's a Chapter 7, it will sit on your credit report for 10 years, and 10 years from the date of when it was last discharged. And also talking about owing taxes. Again, you can purchase a home if you owe taxes as long as you have a payment plan in place and that you're current on your payment plan. If you have this payment plan, you can still purchase a home even if you owe taxes. Uncle Sam and your state government wants to make sure that they get their money. So do not let owing taxes hinder you from purchasing a home. Just make sure you put a payment plan in place. And then when it pertains to reality versus social media, understand everything you see is not what it appears to be. Everything that glitter isn't gold. So everything that you think you see on social media, understand some of it is an illusion. Whatever you do in your life, that's reality. Whatever you want in your life, you can do, and then you can post. But don't think people even when you see people on there taking these thousands of trips, you don't understand they going broke behind closed doors. They taking a trip every 3 months, and then they struggling begging for money all the time from other people. That's some of the things you don't see. So reality versus social media. Don't get caught up in the rabbit hole of social media, because what happens on social media is what people post. But everything that people post ain't what it posts to be. It's not reality. It's just what they post. People use filter all the time when they take pictures. And and Snapchat is very popular for that. I really don't like Snapchat, because I think what Snapchat does is it gives a lot of people a false illusion of them looking better than what they actually look. So it gives them these filters that makes them look better. So people tend to see themselves in these filters looking better. Then they want to take pictures with them. Then they want to post them, and then you think it's a model. So for the fellows who are in the ladies' inboxes, and then you try to go on a date with her, and you go on a date with her, you thought she was a model, and then you meet her in person, and you see that she's not a model, because you've been, what they say, catfish. But either way, I'm just saying, create your own reality. Don't get caught up in the hype on social media. Understand your reality is what you make it. But do enjoy social media, because there are a lot of positive things that come from it. So I just wanted people to reflect on that today. And also, please check out my website, damontheagent.com. Next week, I'm going to be giving an update on interest rates. And I'm also going to be talking about scammers, making sure that you don't get scammed. I know plenty of people who've been getting scammed lately, getting their identities taken. So we're going to talk about those things to help prevent those who are, from going through it. And I just want to thank you all again for coming to my show. Tune in every Friday at 12 noon. With it's real estate, real life, real talk, and real live, where I talk about real estate, what's going on in the real estate world, talk about real life, we talk about real talk, and it is always real live. And check out my website, damontheagent.com. I will see you all next week. Same time, same station.